All right, good evening, fellow protectors. Welcome to the Education of a Weaponized Man podcast. Greg LaBeouf here with you. I've got Brad Vanderlight with me. Dustin is away this evening. Listen, tonight I want to share with you guys what the true cost of joining a warrior tribe is. I had a conversation a couple weeks ago that I thought this would be really interesting to share because honestly, the conversation presented perspectives that I've just never had. And I know there's a lot of people out there, a lot of men talk about, brotherhood, tribe, belonging. And I just thought, nobody really talks about what the true cost of joining a brotherhood or a warrior tribe or a warrior culture. What does it really take to become part of something like that? So I thought I would share some insights from my perspective. And I also thought we'd talk about a few things that I don't think anybody ever really tells you. And it is what I believe is the true cost of this. So that's it. Stick with us. We're going to be back in 30 seconds and we're going to go deep on the true cost of joining a warrior tribe. Hey everybody, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Greg LaBeouf, and I'm sharing insights for how I went from the victim of a brutal attempted murder to weaponizing my mind and body, mastering the tool of violence so that I can protect myself and my family from violent criminal assault, and how for the past 30 years, I've been helping good people just like you do the same. Welcome to the Education of a Weaponized Man podcast. All right, okay, so we're back, and we're talking about the true cost of joining a warrior tribe, a warrior brotherhood, and I'm going to set it up because I have kind of three questions written down that I believe as we go through this podcast, at the end of this, we're going to have clearly defined or answered these three questions. They're not the only questions that hopefully we're going to provide some answers to, but I think they're three fairly important and relevant ones. So, number one, does every man, here's a statement, every man needs a tribe, okay? Or does he? So do men need a tribe? Do they need a brotherhood? Do they need a place where they belong? Okay, now, so that's question number one. And again, it might seem fairly straightforward to answer that, but that's question number one. The second is, what is the true cost of joining or becoming a part of this brotherhood, this tribe, this collective? Okay, so, again, I think everyone understands maybe some surface cost, but what is the true cost to becoming part of something like that? That's question number two. And then question number three is, does it actually fucking matter? And of course, I put a bit of a point on this because of the nature of our podcast. Does being a part of this tribe or this brotherhood or this culture or any culture, but does it aid in your survival? Right? Because I think one of the first kind of points that I'd make is that training should always be about one thing, and that's getting better. Every time you train, every time you get together, every time you connect, I don't even care if it's social, if it's for structured training. It doesn't matter. You should become better. Okay, so whether that's a better warrior, a better human being, a better person, a better man, a better father, a better husband, you should become better. Okay, so at the end of it, the third question is, does it actually make a difference in you becoming better, being a better warrior, father, all that type of stuff? So those are the three questions that I think we're going to answer tonight by going deep in this. So I really hope that people invest in this because maybe my first point, and then I'll let you get your visceral thoughts out, Brad, is, and I'm just going to speak to question number one. Do men need a tribe? I'll go general, I'll go general and then I'll go more specific. This conversation is so important because I believe, everybody needs a tribe. Everybody needs a tribe. We're social creatures. You need to find your people. But this is, so I believe everybody needs to have their people. You got to have, now, I saw this thing and it's going around on Instagram. A lot of people maybe have seen it. I can't remember the guy who said it, but his basic sentiment was like, I don't need a fucking army of people. I don't, basically saying I don't need hundreds of people. Give me three motherfuckers. Like give me three people that are like my people. Right? He's talking about give me three of my people, my tribe, my brothers. Give me three fucking people, and we'll take over an entire fucking country. And the sentiment is exactly what we're talking about. It's like tribe, belonging, culture, like brotherhood. So I believe that everybody has to have their people. I believe, because I can talk from a man's perspective, but I believe that men especially need to have tribe. They need to have like-minded people around them. You need to have a culture, because again, like men have a hard enough time kind of sharing, I guess is a good word, expressing, processing. And of course, women are going to have, everyone's got their own shit. But, men have a hard time doing that. And so this is going to get into defining. I absolutely believe that men need a tribe. And I want to go into what that actually means to me and all the other stuff deeper. So, anyways, Brad, what are your first visceral thoughts as we start this conversation tonight?
Yeah, like I can't disagree with the fact that men need a tribe. People need a tribe. We know that. Um, the thing that pops in my mind um, on the discussion is, when I started, I was quite young. I was 20 years old, and didn't know what this conversation. If I would have heard this conversation back then, it would have landed on a very different set of ears than it does today. Um, I think knowing about at 20, I wasn't a man. I'm 43 now. Um, I think I'm a man now. Do you know what I mean? And I think having walked the shoes of a man for however many years that we could say that that's where that journey started. Um, I think men need a tribe, like a real tribe, not a fucking bullshit. Hey, let's do something surface and not really actually grow or develop or not even that. That's not the word. Not even connect. Do you know what I mean? Like you could do bullshit stuff and not really connect. It's just surface, and it's like okay, like that was nice and neat, I guess, but doesn't really have the value. But yeah, I think men now more than ever need a true connection with other men, like in terms of like um, respect and honor and all the things that come. And I'm using those words because that's what we have. Like that's resonates with our tribe and stuff. But it's like um, you need like people who are going to push you, right? So I think that with the we've talked a lot about hyper masculinities, like you can't even be a fucking man anymore because that's not appropriate and you're going to offend somebody. So I think that why I think men need something more to lean into that manhood and the connection with tribe now more than ever is because of exactly shit like that comment, right? So
Yeah. I think just listening to you talk, and of course I agree with you and stuff, but it's, I think that with this conversation, for this conversation to really get some legs and get going, we actually have to, I think cut to what would be the end piece, like the biggest piece, and start there first. Normally sometimes you can build things and you kind of work your way to the top of the mountain, but I think that we got to hit the deep waters real quick. And so what I want to do is kind of try to set up, and this is my perspective, so please add to this or disagree with it or agree with it, whatever you want to do with it, obviously. But the conversation that I had a couple weeks ago, there's a couple things that really hit me. And one was, obviously we're talking about a tribe. And I'd say this, every single tribe or culture or brotherhood that exists today that is already in place, all of these things, these organizations, these groups have an inner circle. They have an inner sanctum, right? You know what I mean? People will talk about like, you have, there's people that there's acquaintances, there's, maybe there's family, and then there's, friends, and like, my extended family, then there's friends, and then there's like the inner sanctum, where it's like, that's where like, I don't care if it's by blood or not, that's the deepest connection to the family, the people closest to you. So there's an inner circle, let's say. And to me, it's like, what people have to do is understand what are the costs of what are the costs of joining that inner circle, the true cost. I'm not just talking financial, like what does it really take to become part of that inner sanctum? And the second thing, is it fucking worth it? Right? Because in every core tribe or brotherhood, there are fringe people. Now, I wish I could if I could draw this out, like you're going to have your nucleus at the center. And that's that inner sanctum. That's that, I mean, these people that are willing to, it's family. These people they're willing to die for you. Like, you know what I mean? And you, them. And then you go one ring out from that, and then one ring out from that, and one ring out from that. And yet what people need to understand is that there could be tens, hundreds, thousands, or even millions of people in each of these rings. Like it just depends on the size of the organization or whatever it is. But there is still, I don't care how big, how many circles out there are, and how many people there are, there's always going to be an inner sanctum. Now, yes, the inner sanctum could be bigger. You could have, it could be as simple as 2 people, or it could be as big as, 20 people. Maybe even there's organizations where you got 200, really tight fucking brothers. But I would say that once you hit a certain size, you're going to start to have splinter groups. So yeah, you got 200 people that are super fucking tight, but within that 200, you're going to have individual little inner circles. You know what I mean? You got like a platoon of people, but within that, you're also going to have another little inner circle sanctum of 4 or 5 badasses that just vibe in a way that, they still, everyone, yeah, these guys are my brothers, but, and obviously I'm kind of using a bit of a military reference for that. So what I'm talking about is how do you get to that inner sanctum? And, is it worth it? And what is the true cost to get there? And so I think the number one thing is you can't buy your way in. You can't, there is no express pass. There is no backstage pass. There is no shortcuts to achieving that. And so what I'd throw out, what I'd submit right from the beginning is that the price that you have to pay to gain access to those inner sanctums is probably the most valuable currency that a human being has, and that's their time. That's their time. We say this a lot. This is one of the first statements I ever heard out of my mentors, who I worked my way into their inner circle, and that was, you can't put a price tag on being around. It's just that you can't put a price on being around. Now, that's a simple enough statement that people go, oh, I totally get that. But no, we actually have to unpack that, because most people don't understand what that actually means. They don't really get the value of their time, because there's more to it than just your time. But why I say that your time is the greatest currency is because you don't know how much of it you have. And once you spend it or invest your time somewhere, you never get that back. You can spend $1 million and you can earn more money. You can earn 1 million more or 5 million more. You can get it back. You can lose $50,000 on a bad idea, bad thought, bad investment, whatever it is, and you can earn that back. You can replace it. You can't ever get back your time. And that is the currency. So now let me just jump to this conversation, because there's an opportunity. And before you ever can reach an inner sanctum or create or become part of this brotherhood, you're going to be given an opportunity. And at first, that opportunity is to say, hey, listen, there's an opportunity here to work your way into this group. So here's an opportunity to join this group. And somebody can go, fuck it, yes, I'll take it. And typically, there's some sort of monetary, fee that has to be paid. So you pay to go, yes, I'm joining this group. But that doesn't give you access to the inner circle of that group. That just gives you the opportunity to now start to invest your time to create bigger opportunities to then be integrated and absorbed into that inner sanctum. Does that kind of make sense? And so one of the things that I got was, I never heard an individual say this, but when they were offered opportunity, and then they, said yes to the opportunity and started paying for the opportunity, they started to question whether or not what they were paying for was like paying for friends. Like, am I paying to have friends? Am I paying? Like, is that what I'm doing when I'm paying to be part of this group? Even though, like, no, listen, like, they're like, when, like, I'll use training as an example. But if you get invited to a certain training group and a certain training organization, and you pay a fee to join that organization, you're paying for training. You're paying for skills. You're paying for training. You're paying for knowledge. You're paying for experiences. You're paying for all these different things. But all of those things are just a barrier to entry. Because if they're within all of those experiences and knowledge and skill sets and all those things, there is an inner circle of a brotherhood of individuals. If you look at them, what you'll notice is that these motherfuckers have been putting in and investing not just their money and their energy, but their fucking time. Right? Like, you look at it and you say, these guys have, and there's always a difference between someone who's been around for 2 years or 5 years and someone who's been around for 20 fucking years. And so that's where we have to look at this and start going, well, what are the other true costs? Because time is the biggest one. Because if you don't invest your time, you can't ever get to the point where you can then invest other assets that you have, which I'll talk about in a second. But does that resonate with you so far? What I'm kind of saying, what I think is the core of it, and what are your thoughts on that?
Well, you know what? Like through the years, how many times have we invited people to things and they either didn't show up or something came up, right? And why are they not in our inner circle today? Do you know what I mean? So it's like it is that dedication with their time. Their time is that currency. Like I think you nailed it, because you're right. That is the number one form of currency that we all have. But it's like, well, what are you going to do with it? Oh, something popped up. Oh, so there's something different, something better to do, something you would rather do. There's obviously there's things we have to do, but like it's like, oh, you'd rather go do that than this. That's fine. If that's for you, that's fine, right? So I think it is that barrier to entry that you can't put a price tag on being around, that connection, that socializing, that effort, the hard work, like all those things that go along. Like, well, for being from a guy that's been doing this for over 20 years, it's like put a lot of time in, and that wasn't all socializing. That was, but time and just giving my time and energy to my training partner so he could get better. So I agree with it, with for sure. Time is absolutely the biggest currency. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go off this, and I want to get your sentiments on it.
Yeah.
How I explained this a couple weeks ago was I said, listen, you can get invited. Like, let's just call it our inner circle. We have an inner circle. So I'm using this as an example, okay? But you get an invite to join our inner circle, which is a very small group of people. Okay, now getting an invite to join the inner circle, and then you sign up and you start paying, and now you become a member of the inner circle. Now, right off the bat, you get certain privileges, right? You can buy a merchandise that says inner circle, right? Your name might go on the list of members that are part of the inner circle. And so those are some of the fringe benefits that come. And the only reason that you got that opportunity and got invited to join that group was because clearly there's promise there. There has already been signs of commitment and signs of connectedness and all of this stuff. But you are still not part of the truest inner circle. You're not part of that nucleus yet. And why is that? Because there is no way to invite someone into that. You don't invite people into a brotherhood. You offer them the opportunity to work their way into the brotherhood. So yes, you say, listen, you join this, you become part of our tribe. Right? Everyone that trains us, you become part of the tribe, because right away we're seeing these fringe things where like we share the same principles, the same values, but that just gets you an opportunity to then invest your time and create other opportunities to get closer in. So what does that really take? Because here's the true cost. And what it is, it's not what you get from the group, it's what you give to the group. And what you give to the group is sacrifice. And what I mean is this. In our inner circle, our inner sanctum, and how I did this, again, my mentors were teaching the Navy SEALs and stuff, right? They had hundreds, if not thousands of people around them. But there was an inner circle of these guys. There was just a handful of guys that were tighter than tight. They were the inner sanctum. And what I did is I wanted the skill sets they had, the knowledge they had. I wanted to connect. So for me, right from day one, I wanted to be inside that inner sanctum. Now, I got to join. They did amazing things. They were training with me when they didn't have to. They were sharing knowledge. They were doing all these amazing things. But I was nowhere near the inner sanctum of it, even though despite the fact that they were sharing this amazing knowledge, and the fact that I even got an opportunity to be part of the group on any ring was amazing. But what I did was I was around. So I'll tell you a story. One of the guys that was part of the inner circle, that inner sanctum, what he used to do every single week on a Tuesday, he lived almost 6 hours away And so he would jump in his car after work and drive 6 hours to be part of a 2-hour training group. And then he would train for 2 hours and turn around and drive 6 hours back and get up and go to work the next morning. And he did that not for 6 months, not for a year, not for 2 years, not for 3 years. He did that for 7 years consistently, never missed a Tuesday. Right? And he did that. And so what happens when somebody invests their time? And so, there's more that he did, but I'm just sharing that's how it started, an investment of time, a serious investment of time. So what I started to do was do the exact same thing. I was driving 3,000 kilometers every 3 months, like clockwork, with no excuses, and showing up for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, staying for 2 months, going back. And if I stayed for a month, 2 months later, it was 3 months from when I showed up. Didn't matter how long I stayed. You get me? So if I stayed for 2 months and went home, I was back, 4 weeks later, because that was the 3-month cycle. And I just kept investing the time. Now, here's the thing. That alone, that's just all of your time investment, serious time investment, is only ever going to buy you a new opportunity. And the new opportunity, the next thing from time, I said, was sacrifice. And what do I mean by sacrifice? Part of it is sacrificing your ego, sacrificing your sense of self-importance, sacrificing, any type of walls you have. A better word is vulnerability. You don't go to these things, you don't get to the inner circle by going, what can they give me? It's by what you give other people. And most of that comes from being vulnerable. And so here's this weird conversation that I had. They say, oh, well, I'm paying my money, I'm buying my friends. No, you're buying opportunity to get another opportunity. The other opportunity is vulnerability, is being there. It's like over the 25 plus years that you've trained and you've worked your way to our inner circle, it's like the things that really bond people is when your world is burning. And it's like, so I'll use my example with Tom Paul. When shit would blow up in my life, I started sharing my vulnerabilities. I started telling these guys, hey, this is how my life is fucked up. And what happens is it is a very counterintuitive thing for a man to do. Go to another group of men who you're like, fuck, listen, these guys are way up here. And I want to be part of that group. And if they're ever going to accept me into that group, I got to make sure I put on the mask of what an alpha man, like I got to be a man. They don't want no fucking pussies. They don't want no wimps. They don't want no fucking complainers and whiners. But what I started to realize is I started to model the behavior. And I started, as I was on the fringe, looking at how these core group of guys, how they interacted. It wasn't fucking ego and bravado. It wasn't locker room talk that they were displaying. Not that they didn't shit talk each other and fucking push buttons and fuck around with each other and all that type of stuff. But what I really started to notice is where shit got deep is these motherfuckers were talking about the shit that's going wrong in their lives. It's the equivalent of like, you might have a 100 wins and 1 loss fight record. And you're never talking about your 100 wins. You're talking about your 1 loss and what that did to you physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So just now expand that to life. These guys were sharing struggles. These guys were like, they were fucking family. They were exposing all of their blemishes, all of their warts, all their faults. Yet they were just doing it with each other, right, in this way where then the other person could be there to support them. And this is what I figured out. You actually have to invest enough time. Right? Just straight up, you gotta fucking be there. And these guys start going, look at this guy. This guy shows up all the fucking time. And then what's gonna happen is one of those times when you happen to show up, somebody's gonna be in like crisis. You know what I mean? Something it blows up in your world, something blows up in somebody's world, and there's gonna be another opportunity now to sacrifice. To sacrifice more of your time, to sacrifice I don't know, whatever, listening to sacrifice, like, I try to think of the times like I went through a divorce, and it was a really, really tough time in my life. And one of my mentors, right, what he did was he fucking canceled everything he had in his world, jumped on a plane and flew 3,000 miles and showed up at my door. Never said a word, just ding dong, and fucking there he was. Because he's like, yeah, I had this shit happen to me. He lost a wife and a child in a car accident. And his mentor flew ding dong, showed up at his place and said, I'm here until we're through this. And it's like, what gets somebody to the point where they're willing to sacrifice, put, again, their time, their energy, I don't even know what words to use to describe that, because anybody can help out anybody when it's easy to do it. You're in training class and you got a buddy. He's like, oh man, like I got laid off, this and that, and it's like, oh man, listen, I got some extra cash. Here's a couple $100. What do you need? Oh, you need to crash on my couch for a night? No problem, man. Come crash on my couch for a night because I'm single. I don't have anybody in my house. Whatever it is, it's when it's opposite. It's when you don't have the fucking money. You're struggling too. You don't have enough room for even for your kids to sleep, and enough food to feed your kids. Yet something happens to this guy, and you're like, fuck it. You know what I mean? Like, we'll all eat a little less tonight. You know what I mean? Well, you know what I mean? Like when it costs you something. So anybody can sacrifice when it's convenient, but that's not really sacrifice. That's just donating, some of your surplus. And I know I'm coming at it from different angles on this, but we only have so much time. And it's like, if you don't put the time in with people, you never get the next level opportunity. And that opportunity is to truly be of service to somebody. And in a way that benefits them, not you. And then once you start, now your time has bought you that opportunity. And then that opportunity, your time plus that opportunity, buys you another opportunity. And you just start to see where you create this almost perpetual motion of new opportunities to truly fucking be there for other people. And that's what starts to get you into this inner sanctum. But it takes a lot. It takes time. It takes a tremendous amount of mental, emotional, spiritual energy. It takes vulnerability. It takes honesty. You can't fake any of that shit. You genuinely have to show up as an authentic motherfucker, warts and all, and really be willing to put that out there. And yeah, you're gonna run the risk of people fucking with you and talking shit about you, even if it's just in a teasing way, the way men can sometimes. I don't know, so I went on there for a bit, but tell me how that resonates with you, Brad, as somebody who's also worked through this process.
Yeah, throughout the conversation, I was thinking that contribution was a powerful word.
That's a great word.
And as powerful as it is, as much as the conversation moved forward and listening to you talk, it actually lost less and less power, right? And because there's more to just contributing. There's more, and you did say this, and you're just a few minutes ago, you said, because it's what I was thinking about. I'm like, you got to show up. Yeah. And I think with that terminology, you got to show up. Right? Depending on how you say it, it's like, yeah, this guy showed up. Yeah. Or it's like, nah, dude, you got to show up. And it's like that showing up is like you said, it's your authentic self. It's vulnerability. It's respect. It's all of these things. And it's like, so that's where I left the contribution side, because there's more to it, right? Yeah. Because if you're just showing up and you're just like, oh, I'm just contributing. There could be an unauthenticity to that, right? 100%. So, and I think that showing up was, to me, really painted that picture, because then it doesn't matter what the situation is. It doesn't matter what you're showing up to, what type of event, not an event, situation or things like that, not really the event, but it's like you show up and you're giving it your all, right? And that all could be physically, if you're trying to do something physically with your partner, that could be mentally, emotionally, that could be just sitting and shutting the fuck up and listening to a guy. It could be anything. You just showed up and you did it. So I think as the conversation can progress, I think that's what really resonated with me, is just a little bit of a shift in that terminology from like, oh, contribution to showing up. I think it was very powerful to just reframe it for me in that regard.
I mean, 100%. Like, if we go back to what I was told originally, you can't put a price tag on being around. If you just said, listen, you can't put a price tag on just showing the fuck up. Like, because, again, remember, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's the tonality. When Paul first told me, man, you can't put a price tag on being around. Like, he wasn't just saying, oh, make sure you show up to training. Like, that's not at all what he was saying. But again, when you don't know, you only can see something one-dimensionally because you can't see the depth. Like, until you start peeling the onion, you don't even know that there's another layer underneath that layer. Right? And then pretty soon you're fucking flashing back to the 80s commercials. How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll? You know what I mean? Like, that owl, I'm dating myself, but like, you know what I mean? Like, you got to show the fuck up. And it's like, and that's what we're talking about. And I just thought it was such an interesting conversation because, if you say, well, I joined this group and now it's been 5 or 6 months and I've been asking these guys, hey, let's hang out, let's do this, like outside of class, let's go for beers, let's have a barbecue, let's do all this, let's do all that. Okay, but that's all surface shit. Like, so yeah, maybe it's fun. Like, let's get everybody in a car and take a road trip. Okay, but you're still just doing that as acquaintances. Now you might say, well, no, we're more than acquaintances, we're friends. Okay. But when my world's fucking burning, like you haven't showed the fuck up for me yet. And again, remember, here's the thing. Most times what it is you got to give, not get. So in this whole equation, and like I said, and I don't want people to miss this, what actually started to get me into the inner sanctum wasn't me being there to help them. They were far more emotionally intelligent than I was. Right? They have been part of a brotherhood for many years beyond me. They were my mentors in every aspect, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, relationally, all of that stuff. They were ahead of me. So how am I going to be of service to them? What it was when my life started burning at certain different times, I was man enough to be vulnerable enough and share it with them. Now I didn't do it with any expectation. But I was around, I was showing up, I was there. And what it did was it showed them that I trust them enough to say, listen, I'm in a fucking bad spot. I'm in a bad fucking way right now. Again, whether that's physical, mental, or emotional. And guess what they got? They got the opportunity to be of service to me. Isn't it fucking weird? Like a genuine, authentic opportunity for them to show up for me. And here's what's really cool. I hope people get this. In order for someone to show up for you, you have to trust them with the reason why they might need to show the fuck up for you. That's vulnerability. That they start going, this is an authentic motherfucker. Because he's showing up and he's authentic with what the fuck's going on in his life. He's not hiding, he's not running, he's not making excuses, he's not quitting, he's not saying, oh, I'd love to keep training, but I got a few things going on at work, I got some, situations, the fucking old lady's on me, I'm fighting with my old lady, the kids, this and that and all this. That's just all it's all a bunch of shit. What the fuck's going on in your world, man? Share it with us. Nah, fuck, I'm good, man. Fucking, bullshit, just keep moving forward. Fuck, you know what I mean? Suck it up, right? No, you're disrespecting them. That's how little you think of them. So most people would think of this thing where they're like, oh, I got to be of service to somebody. I got to show up for them. I got to show up for them. What can I do for you? What can I do for you? I get it. It's a great sentiment to want to help people, and that's it's a great part of nature to be genuinely want to help people. But if you're willing to give help, authentically give help, you also have to be willing to receive that. And that builds trust quicker than you giving. Because you giving, a lot of people will go, why the fuck are you doing this for me? Does that kind of make sense? You know what I mean? It's like and plus, they might have other people that they go to that are closer than you, that have spent more time and have gotten to these things. Like I said, the true cost. They've paid the bill on a lot of these things. And time is just the number. Time is the turret that all this shit's carried on. Like if we use our own group as an example, because, we have this inner circle. You get invited to the inner circle. That already says something about you. But that doesn't give you instantaneous access into the inner sanctum. If people look at our inner circle, the people that make up our inner circle have been around for 20 plus fucking years, 23, 25 years. That's not, now you can sit there and say, oh yeah, well they've put in a lot of that time. They've put in that 25 years. No, the time that they put in, it was 10, 15 years, I don't know, whatever it was. But as they put in more and more time, that you were there. And then there was other opportunities. And if you really look back on it, the opportunities are when something was burning in your life and I got to pay forward. I got to help you the way my mentors helped me. My life's burning, ding dong, open the door. What the fuck are you doing here, man? I'm here because somebody did this for me. And then I get to do that for you. And then you get to do that for somebody else. And once that's happened, there's been many times like ding dong, and there you are for me. But it's like, you get what I mean? But it's like there's always who's in the inner circle. Someone's there first. One or two people, someone's there, and then there's one other person, and that's what creates the bond, the brotherhood. So there's two people. And then all of a sudden, it's like a third person is hovering around and puts their time in. And then all of a sudden, opportunity, and there's vulnerable, and one of, you know what I mean? Boom, and now that person's in. And yeah, and sometimes people leave the inner circle. Like life shit happens. But now there's this nucleus there. But almost never is you just going, hey, what can I do for you guys? That's the slowest fucking way in the world to get yourself into an inner sanctum. Oh, I'm a businessman. I own my own plane. What, does everyone want to go to Vegas? I'll fly you on my plane for free. What is everyone going to say? Fuck yeah, sounds like fun, man. Yeah, he's a pretty good dude. Jump on his plane, you're going to go. You're going to have a great time. People are going to hug. They're going to high five. But that doesn't get you in the inner circle. That doesn't get you part of the brotherhood. You can talk like you are. And in some way, but you're on the fringes. Because that shit's not real. Not deep enough yet. Why? Because you haven't put enough time in it yet. So this conversation about like, oh, let's go for this, let's go do this. You can do all of this shit. Go on all the trips, you can go all the hangouts, you can do all this type of shit. But you're still just acquaintances. And even if you get, well, yeah, he's a good shit, I love this guy, he's great, and you start hanging out all the time. So, oh, I'm hanging out all the time. And now I've been around for 2 years, we hang out all the time. But you're still not there yet. Because you haven't been around long enough for me to see what your world looks like when you're on fire. What do you do when your world's burning? You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? I'm not going to trust you with my world when my world's burned. I don't even know what you do when your world burns. The second shit gets hard, do you stop showing the fuck up? The second shit gets hard, do you close off? Do you wall everybody out? Then what do you think people are going to do? Well, fuck you then. I thought we were fucking tight, man. I thought, this is shit. Like, who else you going to talk to? You got to be able to, I can say shit to my inner circle. I can say shit to you guys that I wouldn't say to my fucking priest. You know what I mean? I can say shit to you guys that in a way, and things that I wouldn't, I have a great relationship with my wife, but you get what I mean? There's things that I could probably come to you guys and talk to that just because I need that perspective. But to me, that tribe, my wife's part of my inner sanctum. So there isn't nothing like, but that type of real conversations. I've had conversations with you guys that are just as real as any conversation I've had with my wife or other, that's your inner sanctum. And some of those conversations are conversations I wouldn't even have with other members of my family, extended or otherwise. Because again, there's a different currency that is being paid. Now, sometimes you can look at military examples, and these guys that form this really tight bond and brotherhood. It's also a catalyst for that is they're having experiences that other people just can't relate to. They're going through situations that again just nobody else fucking understands it. But it's also deeper than that. It's these people in most vulnerable moments, right, showing the fuck up. I don't know. So I don't know. It was very interesting for me for people to be like, oh, what am I paying for? Like, am I paying? I'm trying to buy friends, or like people a year in being like, how come nobody, you guys all get together like, on long weekends, or you do that? How come I don't get to invite to long weekends? What do you mean? How come you don't? You haven't even been around a year. Like, and again, it's got nothing to do with like, oh, once you're around 5 years, we invite you to a long weekend. It's not what I'm talking about. But it's like, you don't even understand the process of how you, like, how is a brotherhood, how is a tribe, how is it truly fucking built? It takes time. If you go back to like when you're in school, I can think back, and when I was in, from elementary to junior high to high school, and probably for 5 to 8 years, maybe even 10 years outside of high school. So now you're talking about, 20 something, almost 30 years. You have a tribe. You have your buddies, these guys. And then out of high school, you start drifting away. But what created that tribe was time. And then not just time, but these people were there when you were at your most vulnerable moments. And these were people that you were typically they knew exactly what the fuck was going on with you. No masks. Hard, real talk, right? And it's like as adults, especially as men, that's what men don't have. I don't care if you're going to some MMA gym or martial art thing, you'd be, oh, these are our guys that love it. You can wear your school shirts and all that type of shit. You guys get in there, oh yeah, we're buddies, we're bros, hang out, watch UFC, do all this type of stuff. Within that group, there's going to be a group. And what creates the group within the group, the inner sanctum, and then everyone else is kind of a fringer, is exactly what we're talking about. It's that process. How we do business is I only work with people that have, even our fringe people, are the people that have the potential to work their way into the inner sanctum. Otherwise, why am I wasting my time? If I have somebody that I'm like, this person doesn't have it. They're never going to show up. They come, but they're not showing up. They're closed off this, that, then why would I waste my time? Time's my most precious gift. I'm 52, not 22. And I don't consider myself old, but I ain't wasting what years I have left. And I hope it's another 40 fucking years. But I ain't wasting that with people that, if I don't think people have the potential to work their way, most people aren't going to get to the inner sanctum, but I want them within 2 to 3 rings. Otherwise, what a waste of my time.
It's funny, we've talked about time quite a bit tonight. And then there's something that you just said where I'm like, it's time invested, essentially, kind of. But that made me also think that, like, it's time, but it's not time. Mm-hmm. Like, in a way, maybe it's time, but no time frame or timeline or something like that. Because
I get it. Yeah.
Even looking back, I'm like, it's time, because it's like when we talk about this inner sanctum, it's like when someone is in there, they don't even recognize it. No. Like, it's not like, you know what I mean? Like, if you look back at like, oh, like, I didn't even recognize that transition. Do you know what I mean? Because it wasn't a chase. Oh, I'm trying to get here, right? So that's what I mean. Like, it is time, but it's no essence of time, right? That could be how, it doesn't matter where, like, who knows when the fuck it's gonna be, right? And not eventually, but like, it's gonna be one of those times where it's like, oh, like, yeah, oh yeah, like I guess you're in it, and like it's like, yeah, but it's almost like it becomes so normal that it's like you'd have to be like, well, yeah, of course he's in it, and you're like, oh, but when did he become in it? I'm like, I don't fucking know, no idea when this person transitioned from, let's say, an outer ring to an inner ring. You're like, I don't fucking know, he's always been there. But do you know what I mean? Like, it's just it's a very weird, to intellectualize it, I think is very hard. To be like, to really, you can't pinpoint anything in this conversation, right? Yeah.
Well, you're 100% right on that, and I love that analogy. It's time without a concept of time, and that's what I'm trying. Again, we're trying to make these things more tangible, these intangibles tangibles. Because again, hey, you can't put a price tag on being around. Hey, you got to show the fuck up. Like, there's wisdom in that, and that was told to me from day one. But I understood it at one layer, one dimensionally. Then as you go through it, you start going, holy fuck. But as I looked back, that's what I want people to understand. That time you dedicate will it'll buy you other opportunities to invest other things. And that's why I'm keep going with the vulnerability one being one of the biggest ones. I want to give people an example, right? Because obviously this tribe, I started this company, I was part of a tribe, right? I worked my way in down in Southern California, the guys that were teaching the SEAL teams and FBI and CIA and DEA and all of these elite, counter-terrorist units, all these elite law enforcement units. I mean, these guys were direct descendant, Dan Inosanto from Bruce Lee. I mean, Ron Balicki. I mean, I got to stay at his house and see, I got to see, private video of Dan and Bruce and Brandon Lee and all these like that the world's never seen, holding Bruce's nunchucks that he used in Game of Death and stuff. You know what I mean? I'm just a kid from Edmonton. I got to work my way into this inner sanctum in a couple different areas. And it was like, and how did I do that? And I started looking at it because I wasn't chasing anything like you said. It wasn't a status symbol for me. It wasn't, it was authentically, I had a problem. I almost got murdered. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I was emotionally fucked up for all this shit. These guys had solutions. And I genuinely wanted the solution. So again, my pursuit started from going, I have a real problem. And sharing and being honest about the problem. I didn't show up there like I'm some badass, I'd been kickboxing, I did this. No, I showed up with like, I'm fucking pretty fucked up and pretty fucking broken and I don't know what to do about it. And then you get, and these guys, the type of people that good people tend to be, is they start at arm's reach at first, they help you. But they wait and see how you handle this and how you take mentorship and how you know what I mean? And how authentic you are in all this. And it goes through this process. And what I'm getting at is I worked my way in there. So when I came back and said, I want people to be able to experience what I experienced. Because all this shit was private. I was invited into their homes. I ate dinner with their families. Right? I slept on their floors and their couches and their spare bedrooms, you know what I mean? I slept in their backyards. They invited me into this. And so my organization, I want to do this exact same fucking way. But people work their way in, but there's an opportunity to do that. And so I created this thing, but luckily what happens is I had good people like you guys and the clients we have show the fuck up. And continue to show the fuck up over those years and allow me to be a conduit and pass on what was given to me. I stood on the shoulder of these people that did this for me, passed it to you. I see you doing that today with other people. And it's like, and this thing just begins to perpetuate. It's slow, but it perpetuates. And that's the most amazing gift. And here's what I wanted to get to. Over the last 2 years, my mom diagnosed with ALS, just lost her in June 20th. And that's a fucking war. It's a horrible fucking disease. I mean, it's a horrible fucking disease to have a loved one get and to have to witness this and all this type of stuff. My point with this is that over the last 2 years of dealing with this, and now the after effects, the last 3-4 months after I'm passed, and my dad and dealing with all this wake of all this other shit that goes on, this last 2.5 years has been tremendously difficult. Like it's a massive part of my life that was burning. And yet I have this group. And so the tribe that I built, the brotherhood that I've built, I needed that for the last 2 years. Isn't it fun? It's not me at the top that's going, I'm the all-knowing, I'm the all this, and I give, and I dole this. I built it, and thank God I built it, because over the last 2 years, how many times before training, after training, sometimes fucking during training, it's just literally a moment where it's like, I need to talk about this. I need to express this. I need, you know what I mean? And you're like, you have this counsel, you have this brotherhood of people that are there for you. And whether it's something physical you needed, I need help doing this. I got to build a wheelchair ramp. I got to do this, got to do that. I need materials. Anybody ever done it? Whatever it is, or whether it's emotional, whether it's mental, whether it's spiritual. And it's again, like all that did was like, and again, I have to have the vulnerability to not hide what I need. Not sit here and go, my life is perfect. I'm bulletproof. Don't worry about it. I'm weaponized. I'm clicked in. I'm switched on. I don't need this shit. Can I do something for you guys? What can I do for you guys? And of course, you have those feelings. Say, listen, if there's something you need, I'm there for you. But at the same time, go, listen, my fucking world's burning. Like this shit ain't easy. But it's a way that's how. So you see what I mean when you lean? Like that's how you create inner sanctum, is through your vulnerability. And that fills you up in a way where all of a sudden somebody, like, life's fucking hard. You know, we call it the fook of life, the fear, the uncertainty, the chaos, the random. Life's tough, man. Life is way harder than fucking violence. And then all of a sudden somebody else, their fucking world ignites on fire. Big, small, short term or long term. And then, you know, you're there for them. But in order for you to be there for them, they got to trust you to fucking tell you that I fucking need people right now. Whatever that is. I need an ear. I need a hand. I need whatever the fuck it is. That's brotherhood. So, I mean, I said at the beginning of this that, like, does every man need a tribe? If I didn't have this tribe, this brotherhood, lots of reasons in my life over the 30 years that I've been doing this, but just over the last 2 years, I would be very different state right now. My business, my family, my ability to be a father and a husband throughout the last 2 years would have been far more corroded and septic than what it was because I had that outlet. So not only is this burning and my family's going through this horrific thing, this terminal thing, but at the same time, like, I feel like I was a better father, I was a better husband, I was a better son, I was better able to be there for my mom, for my dad, for my sister, to support them, to do these things because I had a place that I was getting fueled up for or from. And now you give that to somebody else, and it's like, so does a man need a tribe? If you're a man, if you're a person, if you're a human being, and you don't have the type of deep nucleus brotherhood tribe community that I have, that we're talking about, I don't know how you do it. Like, I genuinely, life is going to be fucking hard. Life's hard enough, but life's going to be hard. And you're not meant to just survive life. You're meant to thrive in life. So I would say yes. The second question was, what is the true cost of joining that or creating that or having that? And hopefully we've done a good job of trying to share what some of those real costs are, right? It's time, but it's not just your time. And then, does it actually make a difference in your survival? I don't think I can add to it anymore, because whether it's my survival as a warrior when it comes to facing violence and protecting myself and my family, clearly that's a resounding yes. And even more impactful is when it comes to your mental, emotional, spiritual survival as a human being, as a man, a father, husband, son, brother, all that stuff. I mean, without doubt, it's a fucking yes. I mean, it's almost incalculable how dramatic a difference having a tribe makes. I don't know. So is there anything on your side, Brad, or any other parts that maybe you want to
I don't think there's I wouldn't be the person I am today without my tribe.
Yeah.
Without growing, not even just, we've all grown together. You know what I mean? Like, I've known you for over 20 years. Dustin, Ryan, and everybody else along the way. You wouldn't be that person that you are today. What's the joke? We've outlasted fucking most marriages. You know what I mean? Like, because it's like you grow into that. Like, you're like, 20 years ago I was a very different person. To 15 years ago, to 10 years ago, to 5 years ago. Do you know what I mean? And that is the evolution of it. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, and everybody in there has had a certain level of impact on my life, right? In some way, shape, or form, right? So, yeah, no, it's. I think it's unavoidable, right? Having a tribe, just whether or not you're doing it on a conscious level or it's one you just fall into, right? And that could create completely different outcomes.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, because, like, everybody's going to have people,
for sure. Yeah.
but what you're just alluded to is, but what's the quality of those relationships? Like, that's why I'm like, the word tribe for me means something very, very specific. Brotherhood means something very specific, and I'm talking that inner sanctum. I'm not just talking acquaintances, or I don't know. It's very specific. And that has to be done with some conscious intent, because otherwise you're never going to last. You will stop showing up, because life does nothing but put in front of you reasons to stop showing the fuck up. I mean, our whole world is fucking, what is it to be a man? What is it to be successful? What is it to be fulfilled? What is it to be whatever the fuck, just put it to it. And all of the things that society tells us, these are what you need to be those things, it's all fucking wrong. For the most part, it's fucking backwards. Right? So it's like, it promotes hiding. It promotes masking up. Right? Well, to be a man is you can't have you can't be suffering fucking depression. You can't have these down days. You can't have these things. Like, of course, everyone gets sad and depressed and everyone struggles and all this shit. But you can't chronically feel that way. Like, you got to suck it up. You got to fucking drive on. You got to do this. You got to do, like, there's all these different things. So they hide it. Again, people don't want to be vulnerable. So they don't want to be like authentically like, fuck, man, this is what's really going on in my world. This is how it's really fucking impacted me. Some of the psychology stuff, right? You're only as sick as your darkest secrets, right? The quality of our life is determined by the quality of our relationships. So I think people have to be very purposeful, very intentful to seek this out and build this, because again, you got to invest time. And the second you pull back your time, you never get to the second opportunity. You never get to be vulnerable. You never let people in enough to be there for you. And it'll stop. And so for people that like today, like maybe people say like, I could be 52, I am 52, you could be 52 today and I could not have this tribe. I could hear somebody talking about this and go, fuck, that's what I've always wanted. I guarantee this. Look back in your life. You've been part of some really good groups of some really good fucking people. You've had these opportunities over the years. And what did you do? Stop showing up. Why'd you stop showing up? Because you started to face shit in your life. You started to take fucking gas. You started to take wounds. You started to get hit. You started to suffer injuries, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, all of the above. And what you did was you withdraw. You retreated from that group. And so you never gave them the opportunity to fucking be there for you, because you never wanted to show vulnerability. Vulnerability and failure is growth. It's opportunity for fucking growth. That's all it is. And if you withdraw and you hide and you shield up, like, then that's not the warrior path. The warrior path is the exact opposite. Warriors express emotions, right? Because they got to go, like, I'm jumping here, but here's a great example. You got elite guys, SEAL guys, Delta guys, elite operators, right? They go out on a mission and they lose one or two of their members. A brotherhood, like, they're closer together than most of them are to their fucking wives and children, for more obvious reasons than, we don't have to go into it. And you know what they do the very next fucking night? They go back out hunting again. They go back out and do their job again the next night. Why? Now, people would go, that's because they're emotionally fucking dead. That's because they're emotionally hardened. They're warriors. They're fucking Rambos. They're fucking John Waynes. No. You know what they do? They fucking cry harder than any other human being has the capability to do. They indulge their emotions. They process through their fucking emotions. They get what I mean? They feel what they're feeling and they do it more intensely, more rapidly, and then they fucking are able to compartmentalize, go back out and do the fucking job. And do what their other teammate, you get what I mean? They're able to go back through, and this blew my mind. When I was first, my mentors were first like, you're going the wrong way. You think a warrior is more stoic. Not that warriors don't have a stoicism to them in certain ways, but they're not emotionally repressive or emotionally dead. They emotionally express. How else can you go into battle when you've got, like, they'll talk about, like, if shit isn't right at home, then if you're not right inside, downrange is a very dangerous place to be. You got to be right. You know what I mean? Before you go, you got to be like, okay, my family's taken care of. I got brothers back home. I got people there that I know my back's covered. Financially, mentally, emotionally, my kids are good, all this shit. I'm right. And when you're right, then you can focus on the job. You got to process through stuff. And so training for us, it's like, I've always said it, we call them AARs, after action reviews, right? 73% of all learning happens after anything. It's the after. I always said that in my training with my mentors, it was like the training was always fucking the most amazing, high-level, elite. I was training, doing the shit the Navy SEALs were doing. And then all of a sudden, it's like after that, That's when shit got good. Because once I got to keep moving in the inner sanctum, I got to be there. I got to be there while we're breaking bread. I got to be there while these guys are in down moments. I got to be there when the fucking, the fringe circles are now, the doors are shut, the curtains are drawn, and you got to be part of that real talk. And at first you're just a fly on the wall with that. But then you keep showing the fuck up. And oddly enough, something burns in your world, and that gives me the confidence to go, this is what I'm experiencing, and all of a sudden, you got a quick reaction team. You know what I mean? You got a ding dong on your doorbell when your world's on fire, and there's this guy that you go, holy fuck. How long are you here for? I'm here to as long as you need me. What about work? What about this? What about that? I got people. People will handle my shit, so I can be here to help you handle your shit. Because when my wife and kid died in a car accident, they showed up for me. And the only way that they pay, that, imagine that marker. Someone does that for you. That's a marker that person gave you. Unwritten marker. You pay that shit forward. But who are you gonna give that marker to? That person has to have showed the fuck up, put the time in, proved that they're worthy of receiving that type of. You don't quit those people. You don't quit those people. The most disrespectful thing you could ever do is walk away from those fucking people. Why? Because no one walks away when shit's good. I love you guys. I love this. This shit's great. I just won $50 million. You guys are never going to see me. You know what I mean? Like, no one walks away when shit's good. People walk away when their world starts to collapse because they're ashamed. And that's the time you need to lean into them more than ever. That's the time you'll find out whether you've got a brotherhood, whether you've got a real tribe. But you got to be vulnerable enough to do it. Anyways, I feel like I'm repeating myself a bit here, but yeah, this is, I wish, I thought when this conversation, it was unfortunate Dustin had to cancel on us at the last minute. I would have loved to have both of you here doing this. I also really wanted to, I'm changing my studio here to where I'm going to be able to have it where we can have, 10, 12 of the inner circle guys, our inner sanctum, and have everybody on the podcast with multiple cameras, and we can have some really good because the conversations that we have before training, during training, and after training, I would love to give people a bit of an inside look into like how this tribe functions and the people we have and just the interactions, because it fucking changed your life. And I just want to share that because, again, like I've always said it, we're trying to educate people. I'm not trying to sell people, right? I want people to have this in their lives. Doesn't matter if it's with us or however and wherever you find your people, your fucking tribe. If you don't have it, start today building it. And like Brad said, you can't don't put a time frame on it. Some it could happen quicker, some it can happen. You just don't know, but you got to start showing the fuck up. Show up, find authentic people, and authentically show the fuck up. And I'll tell you something: when your world is burning, don't pull away, lean in. And if those people are worth anything, they will be there in a way that you never fucking expected it. And then someday will come when you're going to get to return that favor to them. But it typically starts with you have to be vulnerable first. You've got to give in order to get. All right. Any final words, Brad?
How do you follow that up?
I don't know. But I'll say this then. I want to thank you for being a part of my tribe. I thank Dustin. I want to thank all the guys in my inner circles because, again, like just over the last 2.5 years, again, life's not meant, you're not meant just to survive life, and it's been hard. But I felt like through 2.5 years, through my mom's ALS, through all the battles and all the shit and all the stuff, I haven't just been surviving, but I've been thriving in the only way that you can through shit like that. And just, again, it's not because of my own internal strength and my own mental discipline and stuff. I'm not taking anything away from myself, but we don't do this alone. Life's fucking hard, and it's a team fucking sport, right? So to not just have my family, but to have you guys, it just means the fucking world. You guys are always there, and I just know you always will be, and the same goes back and forth. So if anything, this podcast more a tribute to my inner circle guys and a way of me saying thank you for what you guys have done for me over the last couple of years, and really over the last 30 years, but really obviously stands out in the last couple of years. So I appreciate you deeply. So thank you very much. Dustin, thank you. Sorry you couldn't be with us. All the other Inner Circle guys, I can't wait to have you guys all on, all of us in one room, and really let people get an inside look into what our Inner Circle is, how it functions, and the type of relationships that we've built over these years. And deeper access and insight to our fucking world of weaponizing, which is, again, the world doesn't have enough protectors, right? So that's it, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. Please like, share, comment. Send this to somebody who may need to hear this. Like I said, we might not be your Inner Circle group. Maybe we're not your the people that you find that with, but everybody needs this. Men need this. Go out, find it, invest in it, and just don't pull away. All right, that's it. Stay safe, stay weaponized. Chat again soon, everybody.